For this video, I'm making some earrings, and the back layer will be black leather, and the top layer will be a glitter HTV in espresso. The earrings will be in the shape of crosses for Easter, and I want just a very, very basic rustic cross. So the first thing I'll do is click Shapes, select a square. Now I need to unlock this, and I want the height of my earrings to be 2.25. And then the width, which will be the up and down part of my earrings, let's go with 0.3, so almost 1/3 of an inch wide. Then I want to go ahead and make the view quite a bit larger. Now I'll do another square. This will be for the cross piece, the horizontal piece. Unlock that. Now I did 0.3 wide, so now I need to do 0.3 tall, or height of 0.3. And then let's try 1.5 inches wide. Okay, do those proportions look pretty good? I think they do. I'm going to go ahead and select both, click Align, and then center horizontally. So there's the back layer. Now what I want to do is go ahead and duplicate that, and then this will be my brown layer. But I want some of the black leather to show. Now the reason I didn't weld this first and then adjust the size, let me show you. I have both layers selected. If I click weld and then I just make the whole thing smaller, I don't really like the look I get. Let's go smaller. There's too much black showing at the top and each side compared to like this area here and this area here. So let me go back and unweld that. There we go. Okay, so now though, I think I can go ahead and weld this side. So we'll start with the piece that's going across first. I want to bring that to the front. See, what I don't understand is it's a little smaller, it's a little narrower than the back piece, and that must have something to do with when I welded this one together. It doesn't really matter right now, I find that curious. Okay, so I just made that a little smaller. So I like how much black or dark gray is showing on the sides, but I want a little bit more showing down here and up here. So I'm going to unlock that, and it's at 2.92. Let's go 2.75 and see how that looks. Well, I'd still like a little bit more, so I'm going to go down to 2.65. Well, let's do 2.6. Okay, I think I'm going to live with that. So if this is 0.26, I might have said 2.6, but 0.26, just a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. That's the same as what I want this width to be. So I'll move that to 0.26. Okay, we don't want the height to be 0.26. Unlock 0.26. Okay, so let's lay that on top. Again, we have to bring it to the top, send it to the front. I think it's a little too tall. Okay, we are unlocked, so I'm going to go 2.2 and see how that works. Let's go 2.22. Okay, so I'm going to hide my cross piece. For this, I'm going to select both shapes, and I'm going to say center horizontally and vertically. Okay, don't know if it moved at all. Let's bring this piece back and hide the up and down piece. Let's bring back the up and down piece. Now this time we're going to hide the black cross because we're going to go ahead and weld these together. And bring that back, and that looks good. So the final step is I need to duplicate, and now we're ready to make it. So I'll click send it to my maker. I have my black layer, and then I have my glitter layer. I think I'll start with my black layer. Now this is the leather layer. I put it face side down, pretty side down, and then this is my HTV layer. And it's going to be upside down too, like you typically do HTV. So if it mattered in this image that you saw something exactly like it is on the screen, let's say you had words on it, you would need to make sure and mirror both images. In this case, it's very symmetrical. I'm going to put both of them face side down anyway, so it's really not a big deal whether you mirror them or not. I'm moving my leather layer down to 2 inches down and 2 inches over. That'll help me place my scrap that I have. Go ahead and click continue. I'm going to browse the materials and type in leather, and then I'm looking for a setting that's just called genuine leather. And there it is. Click done. I'm going to go ahead and use default pressure. I need to make sure that my star wheels aren't going to roll over my leather, and then I need my deep point blade. So I'll go ahead and change the camera around, and we'll see how this cuts. Here's my leather. It's just a piece of black leather from a scrap bag that I got at Hobby Lobby. Those are great investments. They're pretty inexpensive, and you can get quite a bit of leather in them. As long as you're doing small projects like earrings, they work out perfectly. And then I have just some basic contact paper under where my cut will happen. That will help protect my mat. Then I put my leather pretty side down and just roll over it with a brayer or whatever you have to try to really adhere that to the mat. Then I have my super hold Scotch tape. This is a fairly new mat, so this is probably overkill, but I always do it. There is so much force being pushed against leather that if it's not stuck down really, really well, it can just shove it around. Then here's my deep point blade. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's clean. And let's go ahead and cut. If you watch my videos very often, you can see this is a really shiny new mat. I usually keep them till they're pretty worn out. Now there's one area at the bottom where this did not cut through for some reason. I'll go ahead and snip that out. But if that happened very often with this leather, I would want to go ahead and use more pressure as my cut setting. From the back side, I can tell that the cut went through everywhere except one little area over here in this corner. And it did cut through the back really well. It's just the very front that didn't get cut. So I'm just going to follow that cut line across, and that should release it. and it's in the corner. So now I need to follow this cut line. Okay, let's go ahead and cut our glitter HTV. Here's my iron-on I'm going to use. It is Cricut brand, and I thought it was called Espresso, but it's actually called Glitter Black Gold. And this will be my first time to use it. Now for this, I'll use the standard grip mat. And then this goes shiny side down. On this glitter, it's really easy to tell which is the shiny side. Now before I cut this, I need to do two things. I need to change my blade, and then I need to change the setting on my Cricut. If I don't change the setting, it's going to use that genuine leather setting, and that would cut too deep. The goal is it cuts just through the actual vinyl, and then the shiny transfer sheet is left intact. So I'll set this up here, but I am going to go ahead and change my cut setting now. And I changed my cut setting to glitter iron-on. It told me to make sure that I had my fine point blade in. So now we're ready to cut this layer. So that I don't waste any of my iron-on, I'm going to cut tightly around my design. I hate to waste good materials like this. This will weed super easily as long as the cut's good. What I do is I just poke under the first layer in the corner and pull it up, and it really just weeds like a charm. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the blingy, blingy HTV. All right, need to cut those in two or cut them apart. Before I iron those on though, I'm going to do two things. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these up. Whoops. That's a good cut, but they are going to have some frays on them. With dark leather, what I do is I just take, let me move those. I just take a lighter, and from the back side, I just burn those little frays off. Now you can't hold still for too long, or the front side of your leather is going to kind of, it's not going to melt, but it can get, it'll kind of curve a little bit if you overheat it, which I did the first time I did this. Another thing is it will smell kind of burnt for a while. I made a pair one Sunday morning and I wore them to church, and I was in a big hurry, but by the time I sat down in church and I was sitting there, I kept smelling the burnt smell of leather. It was kind of funny, but you just want to know these are going to smell for a little while. That will eventually go away. So you can see that helps tremendously. I have a little bit that I'll still cut off with my scissors, but that got the vast majority of the frays off just by using my lighter. The other thing that I've found can be helpful is to just clean the top of your leather with a little bit of alcohol. This isn't always necessary, but you will find some some leathers that have a residue on them, and it makes it where it's very hard to get vinyl or iron-on to stick to them. For earrings, I like to use my little Easy Press Mini on a low setting, so the first little bar lights up, and when that turns green and it beeps, we'll be ready. But if you don't have the Mini, you can use an iron, you can use your Easy Press. Those work fine too. It's just, this is such a good size for working with earrings. And while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I'm going to go ahead and get my glitter placed on my leather. I don't know why I put that under my cross. Okay, that just beeped, so we're ready. So let me go ahead and get this placed. And hopefully my head's not in your way. What I'm finding is that there's not as much black leather showing up here as what I'd like. So I'm going to actually cut that down just a little bit. Okay, I just barely cut any off. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go with that, and I'm going to heat this for about 10 seconds. And then this can be peeled off while it's hot. Wow, that's beautiful. Look at the beautiful color of that. I'll see if I have the same problem with this other one. If so, I'll cut my glitter a little shorter. Now, you're not exactly able to see a lot of the leather under these. If I were to remake them, I would make the brown part even narrower and a little shorter. They're still gorgeous. It's just not quite the look I was going for. Then on each earring, I'll do it about 5 more seconds. Look at how beautiful those are. Very, very pretty. This is a little container that you can buy these at Michael's, at Walmart. You can find them at various places. So that my bling on my earrings is really what stands out, I think I'm going to use these blackened metal fish hooks. These are kind of a gunmetal. They're a very dark grayish black. I wish I had fish hooks in this absolute black, but I don't. Oh, guess I need a second one. Don't know what I was thinking. To put these fish hooks in, I'm going to use a couple of pair of needle nose pliers, very small ones. I used to try to use this pair. This is very smooth and round. This does not work well. It was so frustrating. I thought putting hardware in earrings was super hard when I was trying to use those. And so I got a second pair of the needle nose pliers that have some ridges in them that helps you hold on to what you're working with. And then I got this second pair at Harbor Freight, literally like $2. I've had these for years. And then I got this punch tool at Harbor Freight. I'm going to use the 5/16 inch setting. And my goal is to get the hole close enough to the top of the earring so that I don't need to use any jump rings. So we'll see if I accomplish that. The first thing is I'm going to lay the punch part of my tool down on my earring very, very gently so I don't make an impression. And I'm trying to find the very center of that vertical piece, and I'm trying to cut it close enough to the top, like I said, so I don't have to use a jump ring. The issue is getting it close enough to the top that you don't have to use a jump ring, but not so close that it's going to split out. And so there is where I have mine placed, and you just press. And I think that's going to work perfectly. To place these fish hooks on your earrings, you have to figure out where the metal starts. It's going to go down through this little spring looking thing in the ball, and then it's going to go one way or the other. And on this pair, it ends on this side. So I'm going to just hold the earring very tightly with my thumb, and then I'm going to twist that open. And I twisted it down because I could tell the end was slightly under this part and it wasn't going to twist up very easily. Usually I twist up. Just going to slip my leather on, flip the earring over, again grab the open part of the loop, hold on tightly to the earring, and twist it back in place. And we have one earring done. Same process, this time I can twist it up. And you just twist it so that it closes back up. Sometimes there's a little gap and you just take your needle nose pliers and just gently, I'm not going to do it in this case because I don't need to, gently, very gently close it back up a little bit. But these worked out perfectly fine without that. Here's the final product. I think they turned out just beautifully and perfect. And even though my husband and I will be spending Easter social distancing or physically distancing from others tomorrow, we're still going to celebrate the meaning of Easter, and I'm still going to wear these earrings. Thank you so much for joining me. Until the next video, stay safe and have a great Easter.